What's going on? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Like, share, suggested video if possible. And what we're going to talk about is why you're failing as an options trader. So this is going to be a really good video for anybody who is in options trading or wants to learn more about it and is failing and can't figure out why they're not successful, or want to try to prevent themselves from failing, because one of the consequences of dealing with the wrong people in this particular market is it's not going to set you up in the best position to be successful. So to kind of frame this and give you context, what I want you to do is entertain me for a minute, because I'm going to give you a really quick story to kind of allow you to understand, what I'm talking about. So there's a guy who used to coach NFL football. His name's Tony Dungy, right? And so if you understand NFL football, you may know him. Now, Tony Dungy, in my mind, is a Hall of Fame coach. And Tony Dungy is not a Hall of Fame coach because I think he might have been the first black coach to win a Super Bowl. He's not a Hall of Fame coach because he helped develop a lot of guys that went into the Hall of Fame. To me, Tony Dungy is a Hall of Fame coach, not because of his individual accomplishments, but he's a Hall of Fame coach because of what he's been able to produce in other people. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Tony Dungy used to coach in what we call Tampa Bay. So he coached a team called the Buccaneers. There was a time in the NFL, and it still is taking place today. No, I'm incorrect, because the Chargers coach is not in this regard. But there was a time in the NFL where every coach in the NFL came out of Tampa and came up under Dungy. So Lovie Smith, who used to coach the Bears, he coached under Dungy. It's a guy named Leslie. I think his name might be Caldwell, right? But I believe his name is Leslie, but he's also black. He came up under Dungy. There's another guy named Tomlinson who coaches in Pittsburgh right now. He came up under Dungy. If you go back, there's the library that I used to go to when I lived in Tampa called Jimmy B. Kilt Library. And it was right on Bruce B. Downs going on the way to Carrollwood. So all my Tampa people know what I'm talking about. Inside that library was a DVD hosted by Lovie Smith on how to coach linebackers, right? So these guys are essentially Buccaneers, right? They were produced out of the Buccaneer system, and they were disciples of students of Tony Dungy. What makes Tony Dungy a Hall of Fame coach is not his individual accomplishments. It's what he's been able to produce in other people. The reason why a lot of y'all fail in options trading, but also in other areas of life, is because of the program that you have accepted, the script that you're operating under. And you believe that somebody is successful if they're able to produce something for themselves individually, right? As opposed to somebody is successful because they're able to produce growth and development, right, and advancement in another person. So what a lot of people do is that they go online and they say, who is advertising their individual success? Because they believe in individuality and individual success. So their attitude is, who's modeling what I already believe in? Who has individual success? So they go online and they see all these people. Some people do the cars. Some people do the boats. Some people do the fly vacations. Some people do the screenshots. And they're able to show individual success. And their attitude is, well, that's who I want to latch up with. What they don't understand is that because a person can produce a result for themselves individually does not mean they can produce a result in somebody else. So there's a lot of coaches in the NFL that are very good at promoting themselves and selling themselves. John Gruden is one of them. John Gruden has not produced results in anybody else except John Gruden. He's a very self-serving person. He's figured out how to make a lot of money come to him. He's figured out how to advance himself, but nobody around him advances. And if you study his career, you'll see that. Nobody around John Gruden gets better. He continues to advance and make more money because he's about himself as an individual. And that's a lot of the mind frame that a lot of people have bought into. The problem is that when you get around somebody and they're supposed to develop you in a particular area, and all they know how to do is develop themselves and advance themselves, then that's the disconnect. And then because you believe in that, then you go look for the next situation. And then you go look for the next situation, which is essentially a replica or a copy of your last situation. So one of the things that I am proud of, right, as a person in this particular space, is the results that I've been able to produce in other people. Everybody that has taken my training and followed the instructions and been diligent in their education and have taken this space seriously, right, has shown that they have been able to get out of the markets more than what they paid me to teach them in the education. And I taught them the education essentially at a very low level price point, because when I initially started out, I did not want cost to be an obstacle to somebody learning this space, because I know how it feels to be not exposed to this space at all. But the problem that a lot of people have is that they buy into somebody's course, and that person never talks about the results that they have been able to create in somebody else's life. So if somebody asks me about my course, I can give them a list of people and say, you know what? Go reach out to these people and ask them the value of what I'm offering to you and whether or not it was valuable to them and their results in this particular space from absorbing what I taught about this. And let them be, right, my advertisement, as opposed to me jumping on the internet and always talking about me, and what I've done, right? Because I'm a kind of person where I don't believe that my value is my individual accomplishment. My value is what I can do for somebody else. When I was learning how to play basketball years and years ago, I always remember my coach told me, your job is to make your teammate better. It's not about what you do individually. But we moved into a world, because we live in such an individualized nation, where people started thinking you're a good player because of what you can do as an individual. But I was always taught my job is to make my teammate look good, and their job is to make me look good. And so if everybody is trying to make their teammate look good, we gonna all make each other look good, because that's our number one goal. So I don't judge myself by what I'm able to produce individually, because to be very frank to you, is that I could probably make more money in the markets if I taught nobody and just focused on the markets, because I miss out on stuff because my attention is being divided into multiple areas. I got a life, I got a family, right? I got other businesses I got going on. I'm playing the markets and I'm trying to teach other people. So my attention is not all focused on one thing. If I just focus just on the markets, I could probably make a lot more money, because I found out that sometimes I miss plays because I'm not 100% focused on certain situations. And when you're talking about the markets, even though they tell you don't time the markets, right? Time is always important, right? When you're trying to make plays as an options trader, because you're trying to play off direction. So the reason why a lot of y'all are going to fail as options traders is because you're going to fall into the same reason why a lot of people failed in MLMs, right? They looked at the person that had the individual performance and not what they were able to develop in other people. The same reason why a lot of people fail in trying to start a business, because they looked at the person that was able to create results for them individual self and business, but they've never been able to create results for other people. That's why I don't judge what I do by, well, we've taught 1 million people. You haven't taught 1 million people. What you've done is you sold 1 million people. You can't teach 1 million people, right? With one person. One person cannot teach 1 million people. So you sold 1 million people. The question is, out of those million, how many of those people have you developed? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So you got coaches that have won more games than Tony Dungy. You got coaches that got more Super Bowls than Tony Dungy. You got very few coaches outside of Bill Walsh who have developed more successful coaches than Tony Dungy, because Tony Dungy got so much of a good name. His face card is so good in football. He got Mike Vick back into football, because when Mike Vick wanted to get back into football, Tony Dungy told people he good to go back into football. And off the strength that Tony Dungy said he was good to go back in football, that's how Mike Vick got back in. So you got to understand that we all are trying to build different things, and everybody sees their value in different ways. I don't see my value by my individual accomplishments in this market, because I've always been a family-oriented, a community-oriented person. It ain't just about me, right? I've always believed that one person ain't never bigger than the program. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So my individual accomplishments is never what I try to hang my hat on. I always try to hang my hat on is how I was able to develop other people and put them in position, right? And it's not a numbers game with me. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? I help one person learn the options. They probably make more money per month than me, straight up, because they just that good of a trader. And they trade a lot more than me. I'm more of a situational trader as opposed to a daily trader. But I'm happy that they make more money than me, because it wasn't about me putting somebody under me. I want people to take what I'm learning and run with it. That's what I want you to do. Because like I said, my concern and my real motivation is to expose you to this space, because I was never exposed to this space by anybody until a few years ago, right? So what I want you to understand is that the reason why a lot of you was going to fail at options trading is because you biting on the same bait you've been biting on your whole life. Outside of the markets, you believe that a person's value is what they've been able to accomplish as an individual, not what they've been able to do for other people, right? And you keep biting on that hook. And over time, what I've had to learn about the internet is that a lot of people find themselves in the same situations because they enjoy being in that situation. If I go to a fishing hole and the fish keep biting on the same bait, it's because they like that bait. When you're dealing with people and they keep falling for the same situation, that's because they like being in that situation. And I've had to understand is that my ideal customer is not somebody that's looking for somebody talking about their individual performance. They looking for somebody that can talk about how they have the ability and the success in developing other people, right? And that's my ideal customer. If you just want the screenshots of plays, if you just want somebody posing in front of cars, somebody talking about what vacation they took, somebody talking about how they just on, 24-hour rest and relaxation, that's not what we do. I come from real community organizations. I come from real teamwork, right? I come out of real crews, and it's never about one person. It's about what we doing together as a group, and the fact that we coming up as a group, and there ain't no separation, and there's also no antagonism with other groups, right? And that's a whole nother video that I want to get into. So I want you to think about that when you're looking at options trading, and try to ask yourself, am I making my decision based on everything in life that I made my decision on that has not worked for me? Or am I making my decision based on the fact that this person has shown me that they've been able to create growth and development in somebody else outside of themselves? And is that what they hang their hat on? Or do they hang their hat on their own individual performance? But if you believe that individual performance is what you're going after, ask yourself this question. If you get with somebody and they believe that individual performance is what they're going after, how are they going to be a blessing to your life when the only thing that you can do for them is put money in their pocket? If you know somebody that can get value from this, share it out. If you want to learn more about the highest paid part-time job in the world, reach out to me. If you got any comments, hit me up in the comments. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'll talk to you later.